There comes a moment in every life when you stand still and realize, I can't stay here any longer. You feel an invisible hand on your back telling you it's time to grow, evolve, and rise to your real purpose. Today, I dare you to whisper this powerful prayer, push me, Lord. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to evolve. I'm ready to become who you created me to be. Because you were not born to remain in the shadows. You were born to rise, influence, and reflect the greatness of your Creator in everything you do. Growth is uncomfortable, but necessary. Nothing in life grows without discomfort. Think about a seed for a moment. It's buried in darkness, hidden underground where nobody sees its struggle. In that silent darkness, it breaks open. It cracks. Its shell tears apart. From the outside, it looks like destruction, but from the inside, it is transformation. That seed never complains, why am I being buried? It understands instinctively that this burial is not its funeral, it is its planting. And from this breaking, roots push down into the soil, anchoring it for stability. Then the stem rises through the dirt towards the light. If the seed refuses to break, it remains a seed forever, dying with its potential trapped inside. Look at your life today. The reason some people remain stagnant is because they keep running away from the discomfort that comes with growth. They want to move to the next level, but remain addicted to their comfort zone. They pray for elevation, but resist the breaking process required for their transformation. They want success, but avoid rejection. They want impact, but fear criticism. They want wisdom, but reject the pain that life uses to teach them. But here is the truth: every season of discomfort is preparing you for a greater level of influence, authority, and dominion. You are not going through this pain because you are weak. You are going through this pain because there is a greater version of you waiting to emerge. Think about a pregnant woman in her 9th month. She cannot remain pregnant forever, even though it's uncomfortable to give birth. The baby has to come out and she has to push grown sweat and feel the pain of expansion. But the pain only lasts for a while, and when that child is in her arms, she understands why the pain was necessary. Without labor pains, the baby remains trapped. Without labor pains in your life, your dreams remain trapped. Some of you are feeling restless and uncomfortable lately, and you don't understand why. You've been crying and asking God, why am I so unsettled? But it is because you are pregnant with purpose, and your spirit knows it's time to deliver something new to the world. Look around in nature. The eagle teaches its chicks how to fly by making them uncomfortable. When it's time for the young eagle to leave the nest, the mother begins removing the soft feathers and grass, exposing the thorns and sticks beneath. The chick starts feeling the pain and discomfort of the nest it once loved. Why? Because the eagle knows if it keeps the nest comfortable, the chick will never spread its wings. Discomfort becomes the driving force for its flight. One day, the mother pushes the chick off the cliff. As it falls tumbling in fear, it suddenly feels the wind catching under its wings, and instinctively it begins to fly. That push was never intended to kill it. It was designed to reveal its hidden power. Right now, the push you feel in your life is not to destroy you. It is to activate what has been lying dormant inside you for too long. Your talents, your skills, your resilience, your faith, all of it is activated under pressure. Diamonds are not made in silence and peace. They are formed under extreme pressure and heat. Gold is refined by fire to remove impurities. Your discomfort is refining you. It is burning away everything that does not serve your next season. That betrayal, that rejection, that failure, that disappointment, it all has a purpose. Each pain you have faced is digging wells of wisdom, compassion, and spiritual authority within you. Think about your own life. Remember the times you grew the most. Was it when everything was easy and perfect? Or was it when you were stretched beyond your limits? When you didn't know how you would survive, but you did anyway? When you lost people you thought you couldn't live without, but now you stand stronger and wiser? When you failed publicly, but learned lessons that no university could ever teach you? Those seasons grew you into a deeper, more mature, and powerful version of yourself. Your character was built in discomfort. Your humility was built in discomfort. Your resilience was built in discomfort. Your prayer life was built in discomfort. Your faith was built in discomfort. Stop wishing away the uncomfortable seasons. Embrace them and ask, what is this pain trying to teach me about myself and about life? Every struggle carries a secret message for your evolution. Every challenge is an opportunity for you to build mental muscles you didn't know you had. When you feel fear, remember that courage cannot exist without fear. When you feel pain, remember that healing cannot manifest without pain. When you feel rejection, remember that direction often comes wrapped in rejection. Life is orchestrating situations to push you into your higher calling. Your destiny is too big to be fulfilled in comfort zones. A caterpillar crawls for most of its life. It's comfortable eating leaves, blending in with its environment. But there comes a time when it hangs upside down and spins itself into a cocoon. In that darkness, it dissolves. Its entire body structure breaks down into liquid. If you looked at that process, you would think it's dying. But inside that darkness, transformation is happening. Cells reorganize, wings form, and beauty emerges from brokenness. When it finally breaks out of the cocoon, it spreads wings it never imagined it had, and it flies. It is no longer crawling in the dirt. It is now soaring above the trees. That is the power of uncomfortable transformation. You are in your cocoon season. Don't rush out. Don't despise it. This discomfort is creating wings for your destiny. Evolution requires sacrifice. If you want to evolve into the person you were created to be, you must understand this truth: evolution requires sacrifice. Nothing great is birthed without giving up something lesser. You cannot evolve into your next season while holding tightly to the habits, people, and environments that keep you tied to your old season. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. If it refuses to let go of its old skin, infection sets in and eventually it dies. That old skin that once protected it will become its prison if it refuses to release it. In the same way, there are things in your life that once felt comfortable, once felt safe, but are now restricting your growth. You can't carry them into your next dimension. Sacrifice is the currency of transformation. When a student wants to excel academically, they sacrifice sleep and entertainment for study and focus. When an athlete wants to win gold, they sacrifice junk food, comfort, and laziness for training, discipline, and sweat. When a business person wants to build an empire, they sacrifice short-term pleasures for long-term gain. Even in your spiritual growth, you cannot become who you were designed to be without sacrificing old thought patterns, unforgiveness, and self-sabotaging habits. Think about a tree for a moment. Every autumn, it lets go of its beautiful leaves. It sacrifices them not because they are bad, but because their time is up. If the tree refuses to let go, the dead leaves will block the birth of fresh buds in spring. There are things in your life today that are not necessarily evil, but their season is over. Some friendships, some environments, some conversations, some personal habits, their time has expired. But as humans, we often hold on to expired things because they feel familiar. We cling to people who drain us. We cling to habits that cripple us. We cling to mindsets that shrink us. And we wonder why we feel stuck. You will never evolve if you keep feeding what you should be starving and starving what you should be feeding. I remember listening to a businessman share how he built his global company. He said, "In my 20s, while my friends were partying every Friday night, I was reading business journals and teaching myself financial modeling. While they slept in every weekend, I was up at 4 a.m. building my first business plan. They laughed at me then, but today they work for me." That is sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving up what you want now for what you want most. Sacrifice is trading fleeting pleasure for permanent impact. Look at the butterfly. Before it can fly, the caterpillar sacrifices its very form. Inside the cocoon, it literally digests itself, breaking down its body into a soupy liquid before restructuring into a new creature with wings. That is what sacrifice feels like, dissolving who you were to become, who you were destined to be. It is not glamorous. It is lonely. It is hidden. But the results will speak for themselves when you finally emerge. Sometimes the sacrifice required is your comfort. Growth never happens in comfort. You might have to sacrifice your fear of rejection by speaking up in rooms where you were previously silent. You might have to sacrifice your habit of procrastination by becoming disciplined with your time. You might have to sacrifice your addiction to social media scrolling for reading books that feed your mind. You might have to sacrifice meaningless gossip for meaningful conversations. You might have to sacrifice that toxic relationship that keeps killing your confidence. You might have to sacrifice sleep to wake up earlier and work on your goals before the world wakes up. Evolution does not respond to wishes. It responds to sacrifices. Ask any person who has achieved greatness in their field. They will tell you about the countless nights of tears, of missing out, of feeling misunderstood, of being alone. But they will also tell you that if they had to do it all over again, they would make the same sacrifices, because nothing feels better than becoming who you were born to be. Nothing feels better than seeing lives transformed because you had the courage to pay the price. Nothing feels better than walking in rooms you once only dreamed of and realizing, my sacrifices built this reality. When you sacrifice, you activate a principle of exchange in the universe. You let go of the lesser to attract the greater. You release what is in your hand to receive what is in God's hand. But many people are so busy clinging to crumbs that they miss out on the feast. They are so busy holding on to the wrong people that they block the right ones from entering. They are so busy feeding their addictions that they starve their purpose. Ask yourself today, what do I need to sacrifice to evolve into my next level? Is it laziness? Is it excuses? Is it complaining? Is it blaming others? Is it old relationships that keep pulling you back into old patterns? Is it your obsession with what people think of you? Evolution is waiting, but it requires a sacrifice. Every time you feel the pain of sacrifice, remind yourself, this is temporary pain for permanent progress. Remind yourself that nothing you sacrifice for your destiny is ever wasted. Your tears are not wasted. Your lonely nights are not wasted. Your discipline is not wasted. It is all building a version of you that will be unrecognizable in a year. You will look back and thank yourself for having the courage to pay the price for your growth. Sacrifice is not punishment. Sacrifice is preparation. Sacrifice is the bridge that carries you from potential to manifestation. Destiny demands responsibility. Your destiny demands responsibility. Many people pray for elevation, but they don't prepare their character to handle that elevation. Destiny is not just about dreaming. It is about managing what you've been given with integrity, diligence, and excellence. If you cannot be responsible with what you have now, how will you handle what you are asking for tomorrow? Imagine giving a child a sharp knife. Even if the knife is designed for great purpose in the kitchen, in the hands of an untrained child, it becomes dangerous. Likewise, when your mindset is unprepared, even blessings can become burdens. Think about this deeply. If you want to lead a company, but you can't lead yourself to wake up on time every morning, how will you lead others? If you want to inspire millions, but you cannot inspire yourself to read one book this month, how will you expand your mind to speak to nations? If you want financial overflow, but you mismanage the little money in your hands now, how will you manage millions without destroying yourself with greed, pride, or waste? Responsibility is the silent qualifier for greatness. It is what proves to life, to your destiny, and to God that you are ready for more. Look at daily life. A mother wakes up before her children to prepare their food, their uniforms, their day. She doesn't sleep in just because she's tired. Her responsibility pushes her out of bed. A father sacrifices his desires to ensure there is food on the table and shelter over his family. Responsibility makes him show up at work even on days he feels discouraged. A student who understands responsibility studies even when nobody is watching. They choose focus over distraction. They choose diligence over excuses. Responsibility is what separates the average from the exceptional. There is a story about a young intern who worked in a big media company. She was assigned simple tasks like organizing files, making coffee runs, and preparing meeting notes. Some of her colleagues mocked her for working so hard on meaningless tasks, but she did it with excellence. One day, the CEO's executive assistant fell sick suddenly before an important board meeting. Everyone was panicking, but this intern, who always prepared notes diligently, had kept a backup of the assistant's files and schedules. Because of her responsibility, she was called into the meeting to assist the CEO directly. Her confidence, preparation, and diligence impressed everyone. Within months, she was promoted beyond her peers who had spent their time gossiping and complaining about how small their tasks were. That is the power of responsibility. When you treat small tasks with excellence, life will trust you with greater assignments. Destiny never comes to the irresponsible. It requires people who can manage pressure without collapsing, who can handle criticism without quitting, who can manage finances without losing their values, who can handle influence without letting pride poison their heart. Responsibility is the training ground for greatness. David was responsible tending sheep before he was trusted to lead armies. Joseph was responsible managing Potiphar's house before he managed an entire nation's economy. A janitor who cleans with excellence carries the same spirit of responsibility as a CEO who runs a company with integrity. Greatness has nothing to do with titles. It has everything to do with responsibility. In your life today, what have you been neglecting? Some people say, when I have my own business, I will work hard. But if you are lazy with another person's business now, you will carry that same laziness into your own. Some say, when I'm married, I will take care of myself better. But if you don't value your health and appearance now, you will not magically change later. Responsibility begins with the little decisions you make daily. Making your bed, keeping your environment clean, showing up on time, finishing what you start, speaking with integrity, managing your emotions, taking care of your body, staying committed to your goals. These small acts of responsibility build an unbreakable character foundation for your destiny. Responsibility is the silent prayer that speaks louder than words. When you are responsible, you show life that you value what has been entrusted to you. You show life that you can multiply what is in your hands. Remember the parable of the talents. The servant who buried his talent lost it. But the servants who multiplied theirs were entrusted with even more. The principle remains the same today. If you bury your gifts in excuses, you will lose them. If you multiply them through responsibility, discipline, and courage, you will be entrusted with greater opportunities. Responsibility is also about managing your thoughts. Many people sabotage their destiny not because they lack opportunities, but because they refuse to take responsibility for their mind. They dwell on negativity, comparison, jealousy, and excuses. They poison their own soil and wonder why their seeds don't grow. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. Take responsibility for them. Take responsibility for your words. Speak life, not death. Take responsibility for your relationships. Stop blaming others for your reactions and start choosing responses that align with your highest values. In this season, destiny is calling you to rise into greater responsibility, not just in public tasks, but in private disciplines. Nobody sees the hours an athlete spends training before the championship. Nobody sees the hours a speaker spends reading and refining their mind before they stand on stage. Nobody sees the tears of a leader praying for their team late at night. Responsibility is often silent, but it shouts loudly and results. Pain pushes you to purpose. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a messenger. Pain is a teacher. Pain is the fuel that often drives you towards your purpose. Many people pray, God, use me for something great, but they don't realize that before greatness comes pain. Before purpose is revealed, pain often becomes your training ground. Imagine a person who wants to build muscle. If they go to the gym and lift the weights, but feel no resistance, no burn, no ache, their muscles will never grow. Without pain, there is no strength. Without resistance, there is no growth. Think about your own life. Some of your greatest shifts happened when you felt the deepest pain. Some of your most powerful decisions were made when your back was against the wall, when you were tired of feeling stuck, tired of crying over the same issue, tired of letting life pass you by. That pain pushed you to rise. That heartbreak that shattered your confidence pushed you to find your worth in yourself instead of in someone else's approval. That rejection that made you feel unwanted pushed you to discover what you truly carry within you. That season of financial struggle pushed you to become disciplined with your resources, to think creatively, to birth businesses and ideas you would have never considered in your comfort. Pain becomes purpose when you refuse to waste it. I once heard a powerful story of a young woman who was born with a speech disorder. She was bullied and mocked throughout her school years. Teachers ignored her. Friends left her. She spent nights crying, asking why she was born like that. But in her pain, she began to write her thoughts. She began to pour her soul into words on paper. By the time she graduated, she had written hundreds of poems and reflections that were so powerful they started circulating online. Today, that same girl who was mocked for her voice travels the world as a writer and motivational speaker, helping people find their identity beyond labels. She said, "My pain became my platform. If I had spoken like everyone else, I would have never learned to write like this." This is what pain does. It refines your focus. It breaks your ego. It strips you of superficial pursuits and forces you to ask, why am I here? What am I truly called to do? A pain is purposeful when you use it to lift others. The person who was abandoned knows how to comfort the lonely. The person who battled depression knows how to stand beside the brokenhearted. The person who fought poverty knows how to build solutions for those still in lack. Your pain is not just about you. It is about the lives connected to your healing, to your resilience, to your breakthrough. Imagine if a seed could speak. When it is buried in the soil in the darkness with dirt covering it from every side, it would say, "This pain is killing me." But the gardener knows that pain is transforming it. The shell is breaking so the root can sprout. The pain is not punishment. The pain is activation. Without burial, there is no blooming. I know you might be feeling overwhelmed by what you are going through right now. The disappointment, the betrayal, the sleepless nights wondering when your situation will change. But listen carefully, pain is not a permanent prison. It is a temporary passage to purpose. When you shift your perspective from why me to what is this teaching me, everything changes. Pain taught me patience. Pain taught me compassion. Pain taught me wisdom. Pain taught me strategy. Pain taught me to trust the process even when I don't understand it. Think of the gold refining process. When gold is mined, it is covered in dirt, mixed with rocks, and has impurities embedded in it. The refiner puts it into intense heat, not to destroy it, but to purify it. The impurities rise to the surface and are removed. Each time it goes through the fire, it becomes more valuable. That is how life refines you through pain. Each betrayal removes the impurity of dependency on others for validation. Each failure burns off the impurity of pride. Each delay removes the impurity of impatience. You come out wiser, stronger, and more focused on what truly matters. A man once said, "If I had never lost my job, I would have never started my own business. If I had never been betrayed, I would have never learned how to discern people. If I had never been sick, I would have never learned how to value my health and slow down." Everything that broke him built him. That is the mystery of pain. It feels like it's breaking you, but it is actually building the version of you that you prayed to become. Don't run away from your pain. Don't numb it with distractions, addictions, meaningless conversations, and toxic relationships. Sit with it. Ask it questions. What is this pain trying to teach me about myself, about my choices, about my destiny? Pain will reveal your weaknesses and your strengths. Pain will introduce you to yourself. Pain will strip away your masks and show you what is real. You will never fully discover who you are if you always avoid discomfort. Diamonds are created under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. You are no different. The pressure is not your punishment. It is your preparation. The fire is not there to consume you. It is there to reveal the treasure within you. Your environment must match your evolution. Your environment will either nurture your growth or choke it. Many people pray for growth, for elevation, for wisdom, for expansion, yet they remain planted in toxic environments that stunt every attempt to rise. Imagine planting a mango seed in dry sand with no water. You can speak over it every day, you can command it to grow. But unless the environment matches its needs, it will die buried with unfulfilled potential. Likewise, if you keep your life rooted in environments that drain your faith, suffocate your confidence, belittle your dreams, and poison your mind with doubt and negativity, you will never evolve into who you are created to become. Look around you. Who are you spending most of your time with? Are these people watering your purpose? Or are they spraying weed killer on your dreams? If you share your ideas and all they do is laugh, discourage, and mock you, eventually your mind will begin to shrink your own vision to match their disbelief. If you sit with people who gossip, complain, and blame others all day, you will absorb their energy and start doing the same. Energy is contagious. Environment is prophetic. It shapes your thoughts, decisions, and habits without your permission. You become like what you consistently hear, see, and engage with. Think of an eagle in a chicken coop. Even if it was born an eagle, if it grows among chickens, watching them peck at the ground, afraid to fly, running from every threat, it will forget it was born to soar. It will remain grounded, caged by the environment of small thinking. Your environment can limit your wingspan. Some of you are eagles living in chicken coops right now. You know there is more in you. You know you are designed for greater heights, but you remain surrounded by people who fear heights, people who cannot handle winds, people who prefer safety over soaring. Every time you try to fly, they say, "Calm down, who do you think you are?" Be realistic. And you shrink to belong. You fold your wings to fit in. You lower your standards to avoid criticism. But hear me, you can never evolve if you remain where your growth intimidates the comfort of others. In daily life, think about a student who wants to achieve academic excellence. If they spend their evenings with friends who only want to party, skip classes, and waste hours on meaningless gossip, their grades will suffer. But if they choose an environment of disciplined minds, students who study, plan, set goals, and value knowledge, their own excellence will multiply. If you want to be fit and healthy, but your environment is filled with people who mock you for eating clean, who tempt you daily with habits that destroy your health, who laugh when you go to the gym, you will eventually abandon your fitness goals to gain their acceptance. But if your environment celebrates your discipline, if you surround yourself with people who train, eat right, and prioritize their health, your goals become your lifestyle. Environment is not just physical location. It is also mental association. What content are you feeding your mind daily? What accounts do you follow online? What conversations dominate your days? If your mental environment is filled with fear-based news, toxic entertainment, empty gossip, and negative predictions, your mind will become a desert of worry, comparison, and confusion. But if your mental environment is nourished by wisdom teachings, inspirational messages, strategic knowledge, and empowering conversations, your mind will become a garden of innovation, clarity, and power. There is a story of a young man who was born in a rough neighborhood surrounded by crime, poverty, and hopelessness. Everyone expected him to become a gangster like his brothers. But he made a decision. Every day after school, instead of staying on the streets, he went to the local library. He spent hours reading books on business, leadership psychology, and spirituality. The librarian became his mentor, guiding him towards scholarships and opportunities. Today, that young man owns multiple companies and funds education programs in his community. When asked how he escaped the cycle of his environment, he said, "I changed my environment before my environment changed me." Sometimes changing your environment is not about physically moving immediately. It is about choosing what you feed your mind with, who you listen to, and how you spend your hours each day. Some people will call you arrogant when you start protecting your environment. They will say you think you are better than them when you stop entertaining their gossip, when you no longer spend hours on meaningless calls, when you walk away from every conversation that diminishes your dreams. But remember, protecting your environment is not pride, it is wisdom. You are not rejecting them as human beings. You are rejecting the energy and patterns that keep you chained to stagnation. You are choosing evolution over comfort. You are choosing purpose over popularity. You are choosing growth over group approval. Your evolution requires environments that challenge you, that stretch your thinking, that force you to rise higher, that refuse to let you remain average. Surround yourself with people who have gone where you want to go, who see in you what you cannot yet see in yourself, who speak life into your vision, who hold you accountable to your highest standards, who make you uncomfortable with your excuses and laziness. In this season, your environment must align with your destiny. If you remain where you are uncelebrated, where your growth is mocked, and where your dreams are suffocated, you will never become who you were born to be. The power of asking for the push. There is a power in asking. Many people remain stuck because they are too proud to ask, too fearful to seek, too ashamed to admit they need a push. But hear me today. There are seasons where your next level will only be unlocked when you humble yourself and ask for the push you need. A child learning to ride a bicycle knows they cannot start without a push. They sit on that bicycle, feet on the pedals, helmet strapped, ready to move forward, but they look back at their parent or sibling and say, "Push me." Because they know they need momentum. They know their balance will only be activated when someone helps them launch. This is what many people fail to do in life. They are sitting on their dreams, balanced on their potential, wearing the helmet of preparation, yet they refuse to ask, "Push me." Asking for the push does not make you weak. It makes you wise. It is the humility to say, "I have reached the end of myself. I need a divine push to go further." It is the wisdom to recognize that some doors will not open with your own effort alone. Sometimes, life requires the synergy of faith and community. The push of guidance, the push of accountability, the push of knowledge, the push of opportunity, the push of prayer. In daily life, think of a student preparing for major exams. They may have studied all year but reach a point of mental fatigue where self-study is no longer producing results. When they ask a tutor for help, they receive the push that clarifies concepts they struggled with for months. That push unlocks their confidence and prepares them to excel. There is a woman who wanted to start a small catering business. She had perfected her recipes, designed her menu, and prayed over her business idea for years. But fear kept holding her back. One day she sat with a mentor and explained her vision. The mentor looked at her and said, "You're ready. What's stopping you?" She replied, "I'm scared people will reject me." The mentor leaned forward and said, "I'm giving you your first contract. Cater my event next week. I trust your gift." That one push birthed her business. From that day, referrals started flooding in. She said, "I had everything in place, but I needed a push to start." How many people listening to me today are sitting on gifts that only need one push to emerge? Some of you need to ask God for a push out of your comfort zone. You have stayed in the shallow waters of life, dipping your feet in dreams, playing it safe, avoiding risk, avoiding faith steps because the deep waters terrify you. But hear this, no ship was built to remain at the dock. It was built to sail. No plane was designed to remain on the runway. It was designed to fly. You were not created to remain stagnant. You were created for progress, for impact, for expansion. Ask for the push that will launch you into the deep. Ask for the push that will break your routine, challenge your excuses, and force you to activate your potential. The power of asking for a push is also the power of submission to process. Sometimes the push comes in the form of correction from a mentor. You want to grow in business, but your mentor pushes you by pointing out your laziness, your lack of strategy, your emotional spending habits, your poor communication skills. That push may offend your ego, but it is saving your destiny. Sometimes the push comes in the form of rejection. You wanted that relationship to work, but it ended painfully. That push freed you from distraction so you can focus on purpose. Sometimes the push comes in the form of an unexpected challenge. Your business partner betrayed you. Your company retrenched you. Your landlord evicted you. You felt humiliated, but that push forced you to think creatively, to build what you kept delaying, to become independent, to birth solutions within yourself you didn't know existed. Think of a baby learning to walk. The parents stand a few feet away, arms open, saying, "Come to me." The baby cries, fearful to let go of the couch, but the parent knows that without letting go, the child will never learn to walk. They gently push the baby away from holding on to what feels safe, forcing the child to take the first wobbling step towards them. It is the push of love that produces growth. It is the push of purpose that produces courage. You might feel like life is pushing you too hard right now. You might feel overwhelmed, stretched, uncomfortable, confused, or afraid. But that push is birthing balance. That push is building your strength. That push is activating your faith. That push is positioning you for elevation. Some of you need to ask people in your life to push you. Tell your friend, push me to stay disciplined this month. Tell your mentor, push me to stop procrastinating. Tell your partner, push me to become consistent with my goals. Tell yourself every morning, push me to refuse excuses today. Asking for a push is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration that you are ready to grow, that you are ready to evolve, that you are ready to become who you were created to be. It is the humility to say, I will not remain stuck because of pride. I will ask for what I need. I will seek help. I will receive guidance. I will submit to process. I will embrace the push that pulls out the greatness within me. Become who you were created to be. Become who you were created to be. This is the ultimate assignment of your existence. You were not created to be a carbon copy of another person. You were not created to merely blend in, survive, and die with your potential locked inside you. You were created with a unique blueprint, a divine design that carries solutions, ideas, gifts, and wisdom the world has never seen before. But many people spend their entire lives imprisoned by comparison, chained by the expectations of society, suffocated by fear of opinions, until they die as strangers to themselves. They die wearing masks they spent years crafting to please people who never really cared about their purpose. They die with songs never sung, books never written, businesses never launched, inventions never created, wisdom never spoken. But hear me today, your life is too precious to waste being who you were never called to be. There is a little boy who loved to draw. Every day he would fill pages with cartoons, superheroes, and beautiful scenery. But one day, his teacher told him, drawing will never give you a future. Focus on mathematics instead. From that day, he abandoned his art and forced himself into subjects that made him miserable. Years later, after working at a job he hated, depressed and empty, he picked up his pencil again just to relax. Within months, his drawings went viral online, and publishers offered him contracts to illustrate children's books globally. He said, all these years, I was trying to become who they wanted me to be. But when I returned to who I was created to be, my life finally made sense. How many people listening to me today are forcing themselves to fit paths that suffocate their true identity? You become who you were created to be when you silence the noise of the world and listen to the voice within you. That silent knowing, that deep whisper that says, this is what I was born for. For some, it is building businesses that employ thousands. For others, it is nurturing children with love and wisdom that shapes generations. For some, it is writing, speaking, leading movements, designing solutions, healing the sick, counseling the broken, composing songs, engineering machines, creating policies that protect human dignity. It does not matter what it is, as long as it is what you were created to do. The tragedy is when you spend life running after what looks glamorous in society, forgetting that fulfillment is never found in fame, but in purpose. There is a mango tree and an orange tree in an orchard. One day, the mango tree looked at the orange tree and said, "People like your fruits more than mine. Maybe I should start producing oranges too." The orange tree replied, "Why would you betray your nature? Those who need mangoes will always come to you. Those who need oranges will always come to me. Just be who you were created to be." The mango tree tried to produce oranges but failed miserably. Its fruits withered, its leaves turned yellow, its branches weakened. Finally, it accepted its identity and focused on producing sweet mangoes again. Soon, buyers came in large numbers, praising its fruits. The tree realized, "My value is in my authenticity." Likewise, your value is not in copying what others are doing. Your value is in becoming the purest, most authentic expression of who you were created to be. Becoming who you were created to be requires courage. The courage to walk alone when your path is misunderstood. The courage to say no to what violates your calling. The courage to invest in your growth even when no one is clapping for you. The courage to remain disciplined, to master your craft, to rise early, to endure seasons of obscurity, to build quietly until your results speak for you. There are people today who keep saying, "No one is supporting me." But support is irrelevant if you refuse to support yourself. You must become your own cheerleader before others recognize your worth. You must honor your gift before others honor it. One young woman wanted to become a motivational speaker, but her friends mocked her, saying, "Who will listen to you? You're too quiet. You're too simple." For years, she allowed their voices to silence her calling. One day, she decided to record herself speaking and posted it online. That single video reached over 1 million views within weeks. Today, she travels worldwide, speaking to corporate leaders, youth, and women, transforming lives daily. She said, "I spent years listening to the wrong voices until I realized I am the only one living with my gift. I am the only one responsible for becoming who I was created to be." People may laugh at your dreams because your vision is invisible to them. People may belittle your efforts because they cannot see the end from the beginning. People may judge your process because they are too blind to see your purpose. But you must keep becoming. Becoming is painful. Becoming is lonely. Becoming is uncomfortable. Becoming requires sacrifice. Becoming demands faith. Becoming calls for relentless consistency. But becoming will set your soul on fire with fulfillment that no amount of money, fame, or applause can ever buy. Every morning, look in the mirror and say, "Today I refuse to live as a shadow of myself. Today I choose to honor my design, embrace my calling, and walk in the fullness of who I was created to be." When you die, your goal is not to leave behind material wealth alone. Your goal is to die empty, having poured out every gift, every idea, every piece of wisdom, every solution, every act of love, every dimension of greatness that was deposited in you before you were born. Conclusion: there comes a time when you have to stand before your own soul and make a decision. Will you die full or will you die empty? Will you leave this world with your music still locked within you, or will you pour it out until your last breath? Life is too short to keep hiding behind your fears. Life is too precious to keep adjusting yourself to fit into boxes you were never created to fit. If there is a dream in your heart, it is there because you are the one chosen to fulfill it. If there is a vision burning in your spirit, it is because you carry the grace to manifest it. If there is an idea that wakes you up at 3 a.m., shaking your sleep with excitement and urgency, it is because heaven is waiting for you to build it. Listen to me, you are stronger than you think. You are wiser than you have been told. You are more powerful than you have been conditioned to believe. The enemy of your destiny is not out there somewhere. The enemy is your doubt, your laziness, your excuses, your fear of failure, and your fear of what people will say. People will always talk. Let them talk while you build. Let them gossip while you rise. Let them mock you while you master your craft. Because one day, the same mouths that mocked you will announce your greatness. One day, the same people who ignored you will say, "We always knew you were special." One day, your results will silence every lie spoken against you. Do not fear failure. Failure is just feedback. Failure is a lesson in disguise. The greatest inventors failed countless times before their breakthrough was recognized. The greatest leaders were rejected and criticized before their wisdom was honored. The greatest innovators were labeled as mad before the world called them genius. You have to reach a point where you say, if I fail, let me fail forward. If I fall, let me fall on my back. Because if I can look up, then I can get up. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are who you decide to become today. There are people waiting for you to rise. There are generations tied to your obedience. Your success is not just about you. It is about the lives connected to your assignment. That is why you cannot quit. That is why you cannot surrender in the storm. That is why you cannot keep procrastinating and saying, one day I will start. One day is not promised. Your time is now. Your moment is now. Your season is now. You are the answer to somebody's prayer. You are the solution to somebody's problem. You are the breakthrough somebody is fasting for. You are the light that will illuminate someone's darkest path. Stop playing small. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop waiting for permission to become great. Your greatness is already encoded in your DNA. Don't you understand? Diamonds are only formed under pressure. Gold is only purified in fire. Olive oil only comes when the olive is crushed. Your pain has a purpose. Your battles are birthing something in you that comfort never could. So rise from that pain. Stand tall in that storm. Keep walking through that valley. Because on the other side is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, braver, deeper, and unstoppable. And when you get there, you will look back and realize that every tear watered your destiny. Every betrayal positioned you for purpose. Every delay trained your patience. Every rejection redirected your path to something better. Remember, lions do not turn around when small dogs bark. Eagles do not flap around with chickens. Oceans do not lose their worth because someone calls them salty. And you should never lower your worth because someone fails to recognize your value. Live boldly, dream fearlessly, love deeply, forgive quickly, give generously, serve faithfully, and above all, become relentlessly who you were created to be. Because at the end of your life, when you stand before your Creator, the only words you should long to hear are, well done. You did not just exist, you lived. You did not just breathe. You became everything I created you to be.